Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Well, here we go again. Victoria is in lockdown number 5. Hopefully, it is only a 5-day lockdown. That's what's being called for at the moment because of the Delta strain that has moved down from New South Wales. So, as I've said before, we're not so bad here on the farm. We have some really lovely local shops, and we are able to have enough space here to exercise without wearing a mask. I have enough space for my business here in the shed. I can craft, I can get activities done on the farm. And if it's only for a short time, it's not going to be so bad. This week, the weather has started to turn. It's begun to feel like pre spring. I've spoken about the 6 seasons of the Yarra Valley before, and mid-July through to August is known as pre-spring. So you start to get the very first lot of flowers, and the wattles are just starting to bloom, which is always a really special time of year. And we are also having a lot of birds around. You can tell that they're starting to nest. The plovers are calling out to each other all the time. We've had big flocks of ibis. All of the parrots and the little finches and everything are out tweeting and flitting around and carrying on. So, yeah, they're all starting to nest in preparation for spring. Of course, it's still being cold and wet, and today's no exception. It's raining again, but we have had some really lovely days. I caught both the chooks and the goats enjoying the sun earlier this week, and it was nice to just be out and wandering around and enjoying it while it was out. I also took the time to go over to our island. It's a little area of land that it has a creek on 2 sides. It's sort of like a little wedge, but we can access it via a road. So I parked my car on the side of the road and I grabbed our tubs and I went onto the island and I collected tubs of kindling. We hadn't been over there for a while, and during the storms, quite a lot of the older trees had fallen. So there was a lot of dry branches, plenty of small twigs for kindling, stuff that I could do by myself without a chainsaw or any other tools. So I got 2 big tubs full and plenty of nice dry wood for lovely warm fires, which I think I will be sitting by this afternoon. It's been a while since I've actually dyed any yarn, a couple of weeks, I think. And mostly that's because I was doing all of the end of financial year organization and preparation. Boring, but a necessary part of the business. So that's all taken care of now. But part of that, I was able to put together a list of the things that I want to start dyeing and getting ready. So what I would like to do, I think the next thing that will be in the pots, unless there's any custom orders, will be adding all of my flower colorways onto garden variety stock and getting a whole lot of minis done in all of those colors as well. Then for spring, they will be released, and I will have my full range of mini skeins to be able to choose your own bunch of flowers minis. So you can choose 5 of any of the flower colorways and put together your own mini skein set. I'll also be getting the Christmas colorway in to the dye pots. As always, I will do a little video on that, and then when it is released, I will share that with you. First to what I am wearing this week. This is the Bloom shawl. The pattern is by Kiri Fitzgerald, and I got it from a magazine, but it is also available now on Ravelry as a pattern to purchase. And it's actually the bloom motif in the middle, and I'll show you, I'll put a picture separately so you can see this, is now the pattern that I use for all of my sample squares. So this shawl inspired me to use this pattern quite a lot. Both of the yarns in this are Colleen's Crafts that I bought from the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Festival in 2015. And I will talk a bit more about Bendigo in a little bit, but looking back at all of my memories, it actually inspired me to put this on this morning. It's a really beautiful pattern and I really loved to knit it. So it's been a really productive week creatively, and that was even before the lockdown. So I think over these next couple of days, I might really start to power through some projects. That's my hope anyway. So I started out by knitting a pair of socks. I needed to go to the laundromat. I needed to do some stuff in the washing machine and then use the dryer. So I knew I was going to be there for quite a while. So I took yarn to cast on a sock and I'm already up past the heel. So this is Fairy Floss is the pink that I'm using for the toes, heels, and cuffs, and the foot and the leg are in Hangover. And I think they make a really great combination together. I really do like that. So I probably won't make the leg too much longer, and then I'll pop in the cuff. And then I might just not start the next one because my next project is really making me just want to work on it and nothing else now that I've started. So my next project is the flax jumper that I showed you last week, where I just started the yoke and I'd had the trouble with the garter. So that's all fixed now. I've split for the sleeves and I have how many? One, two, three, almost four full rounds of the sleeve stripes. I need to try this on now to see where it hits me on my arm to decide where I'm going to put a couple of decreases in. Then I can keep going and crank out the other sleeve the same. I'm finding the stripes is keeping my interest up really well. Counting just how many there are of each of the rows, but then also knowing that then it's just changing to a new color. And as I said last week, this yarn is so beautiful and soft that it is just wonderful to knit with. I'm really, really enjoying it. So you can see I've got quite a small neck. I started with the size small, medium as a cast on. I had to work out some numbers because it's designed for a worsted pattern, not a DK. Then I did the increases and I realized once I'd done the increases for the small medium that the armholes weren't going to be big enough for my arms and the yoke, the corner bit was not going to be enough to get down to under my armpit. So what I did was added another 6 increases. And I think now that's big enough. It feels like it is. It's certainly the right number of stitches on the sleeves for a standard DK jumper that I would knit for myself. So I'm comfortable that it will work. It might be a little bit baggy, but I actually don't mind that so much. I sort of want a bit of a sloppy, comfortable jumper that I can sort of wear around quite a bit. You might end up seeing it a lot on the podcast once it's finished. So yeah, I really want to get cracking on this and get it done. I'm enjoying it a lot. I spent some time with Amy at Unwind Craft Cafe this week, and this is the project that I spent all my time knitting on. And it was easy to do while I was sitting and chatting. So it's also going to be an easy TV project, I would think, as well, which is good because I really want to get it done quickly. And that means I don't have to put it down in the evenings. I can just keep going. So as I said earlier, this weekend was supposed to be the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, or the Australian Sheep and Wool Show. And because of this snap lockdown, it had to be cancelled. And it was cancelled super late. All of the vendors and farmers were already there and set up. It was supposed to start today. I record on a Friday, so it was supposed to start today. And they got an email or a call and they were told, you have to come back, pack up all your stuff and go home. My heart just breaks for them all. There would be so much work that has gone in over months, possibly years for some people. And now that it was all for nothing. So go and support any of those vendors that you see online. I'm sure that they'll be putting all of their stock up into their shops. They will have plenty of yarn and fibre that would be a real treat to have seen in person. But if you can support them by buying some online, that would be really lovely. So Amy and I have made a ritual of going to Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show every year. Obviously, we didn't go last year because we were locked down. And we had actually made a decision to not go this year because of the pandemic, not really feeling that comfortable about being around crowds yet, and just having an uneasy feeling that it just wasn't going to be the same. So many interstate vendors weren't already going to be there. So it was just, we just didn't want to spoil that memory that we had. And we will look forward to going in the future, hopefully, once everything settles down a bit more. But we just decided that this year we would catch up at Unwind instead and have just a knitting day together rather than going to Bendigo, which luckily for us turned out to be the better option. So we sat and knit all day, which was lovely. Um, but what I ended up doing was in my memories of my photos, I was getting all of these posts that I had put up for pre-planning for Bendigo for a number of years of projects that I was thinking about buying yarn for. So things that I really wanted to knit that I was looking for yarn at Bendigo for. And quite a lot of them, I bought the yarn and I have knit them. And that's really pleasing to see that sort of those plans had gone all the way through. But there were some on there that like really sparked my memory that I either hadn't been able to find yarn for at the time or I have yarn for and I started and didn't finish, ended up pulling it out, whatever. So I have now 3 projects that I have queued from previous Bendigo plans that I am now planning on knitting. So after my flax jumper, there will be, I already have a plan for what is going to be going onto the needles. So the first project that Bendigo plans have inspired me to go back to is the crossover cardi by Elegant Economy. So it's knit in the round from the back and there's holes for the sleeves and it's got quite a lot of cabling detail on the body. So it's really, really pretty. And I had never been able to find yarn for it. It calls for Barocco Remix, which is a really strange mix of cotton and acrylic and silk and nylon. It's not something that you find easily in stores or even at like a specialty event like the Australian Sheep and Wool Show. So at Unwind the other day, I went through all of their yarn. It's a worsted weight pattern. So again, not something that there's a lot of in Australia to buy. We don't tend to go for that 10, 12 ply. We stick more to the 4 and 8. So I ended up choosing, this is Queensland Collection Kathmandu Aran weight yarn, and it's a merino silk and cashmere tweed. It's not coming out, Heather. That's a better color. It's sort of it's a light green with black tweed through it. And I think it's going to work. It's got a good structure. It's like nice twist. So I think the cables will really pop out. So I bought 5 skeins of this. And when I finish my flax, this is going on the needles. I also added the pixelated pullover to my queue, which is a color work jumper. It's 3 different colors and it sort of starts solid, little bits of the color, solid in a different color, and then colors again. I'll pop a picture. And my tension was really bad and I just couldn't get the randomness of putting the little specks in. So I ripped it out and didn't go back to it. And I used the wool that I'd bought for that in the first radiate that I made. So now that I feel like I did quite well with the flamingo socks in terms of color work, I think I will try this one again, but not first. The crossover cardi goes first. And the other thing that I discovered that I had put aside was the Anna cowl, which is a really beautiful lace weight cowl. It's really huge and you can twist it around in a whole lot of different ways, sort of use it as a poncho and a shawl and put it over your head as a hood. It's really, really beautiful. And I already have the yarn for this one. It's a beautiful green It's all wound up. I had miscounted with the lace and I got really frustrated and pulled it out. But I really do want this finished item. So again, that is one that is now in my queue. And the plan will be that instead of looking for other projects, I'm going to go through my queue and do these few things that I was inspired by and that I am still inspired by. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.